Thank you very much, Jafar, because you've put on the table a number of points that we'll have to address during our third conference, but we will take into account what you said and your suggestions. That being said, I'd like to call upon Nurit, Peled e Hanan. Who's the director of the Department of Communication, David Nahin College in Jerusalem, and she's also a member of staff of the member faculty of the Hebrew University in Jerusalem. And most importantly, Nurit has been, with many others, the coordinator of the Russell Tribunal for Palestine, which was held right after the cast operation in Gaza. She wrote a very important book, research that she has carried out on how Palestinians are depicted to school children and how the Palestinian issue is addressed in the school textbooks in Israel. And she has been designated as a Sakharov Prize winner in European Parliament for her work on human rights. I'd like to give the floor to Nurit because of her courage, her intelligence, and her involvement. She's an important face of the Israeli community. Thank you, Luisa. Thank you for the invitation.
I didn't know that all of you understand English, so I took care to translate my slides to Italian, but I will speak around them in English. So this is the title, for those who don't understand Italian, the rhetoric of the legitimation of distancing, exclusion, and elimination of Palestinians in Israeli school books. This is my book in Italian, anyone who wants to read it. And most of the translations come from there. My question was formed really around this question of Frantz Fanon, who wondered how the oppressors behave, and I want to know how the oppressors educate their children. And in more blatant words, how come Israeli boys and girls become monsters once they are 18? It bothered me a lot for obvious reasons. In Israel, there's never been peace education, officially, and the ministry discourages any kind of meeting between Palestinians and Israelis. There are a few private schools where Arab and Jewish children study together in the two languages, but these are private schools, not state schools. School books, why do we have school books anyway? Okay. School books are meant really to legitimate the state. Can you read? Is that okay? Okay. To legitimate the state and to mold little children to be the citizens that the state is interested in. In Israel, of course, they are meant to inculcate the Zionist narrative and to create a national territorial identity for the Jews and Arab-Israeli identity for the Arab students, which is a different thing. Okay. Now, in Israel, all school books are private. Anybody can write a school book, and teachers can choose whatever they want. There are hundreds of them, but they all have to be authorized by the ministry. That's why they have to have some ideological common ground or supposizione di base. This is one type of this supposizione. What exists? Can you read? Okay, so just read it. I don't have to read it for you. All right? Okay. This is the second type. What may be the case, okay? So as you see, the Arab citizens are a terrible demographic problems. Some books even write a terrible demographic nightmare that must be solved, and the Palestinians in the territories are all assassins or future assassins. What is desirable for the Jews or for Israel, of course, is big Israel and Jewish majority at all times. But the question is, what do you do with all the others if you have to keep a Jewish majority at all cost? So I think Israel is handled or managed by what Zygmunt Bauman called the gardening metaphor. You can read that here. All right? It means that some elements have to be exterminated because they don't fit, and some other elements can be cultivated to fit. So in Israel, we really have these two elements. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Okay. We have a group of others that are marginalized people that are Jewish, namely Arab Jews or Ethiopian Jews. And we have people who are not Jewish, but they are not Arabs. So we can cultivate them, okay? Which means they undergo elimination that is cultural, or what is called in more serious term, a cultural genocide. Their language, their religion, their culture, everything is eliminated, but they are not killed because they are needed for increasing the number of Jews and the number of whites, the Russian non-Jews, for example, and they are needed to replace Palestinians in labor. So they are not killed, their bodies are still needed. The other group is the Palestinians, and they are treated as a different race. They are not subject, they are not candidates for any kind of assimilation or integration, and they should be eliminated physically and culturally. For example, this is from a geography school books. As you see, it's a Jewish versus Arab population, but with the Jewish population, we see Jews and others. So who are the others that deserve to be in our group? These others are the non-Arabs that are not Jewish. They deserve to be with us. Another thing that you can see, these people are caricaturized, but they can be anybody. They can be Italian or French or Jew. They have nothing Jewish about them. Here you have the racist icon of the Alibaba with a camel and his wife. Throughout the book, whenever they speak about Arabs, they show this caricature, which really resembles nobody in the world. So the legitimation of this practice of elimination in school books have, I should say, 5 layers, okay? How do you legitimate this to children? The fact that people should be eliminated and are eliminated. So first of all, you turn them into abstraction. You don't show their face, never. And if they are an abstraction, like a problem, a nightmare, whatever, then you don't have to use ethical or moral considerations when you speak about them, okay? Because, this is what I said, okay? For example, this is the Palestinian problem in one of the books. There is nothing Palestinian about it. It's an environmental problem, and there are no people. In all the Israeli school books, and there are hundreds of them, you don't find one photograph of a Palestinian human being. Only the caricature of Alibaba and some other stereotypes. We'll see. What does it say about this Palestinian problem? You see here. all right? It's not only a problem, it's a poisonous problem, like bilharzia or something, you know. All right. Here, even the most crowded place in the world, they managed to show empty of people, which is what this researcher say, Van Leuven, he said this is the point of view of the pilot before dropping the bomb. This is, yes. Now what is this? Okay. Again, you speak about the camp very abstractly. There are no people there. It's just a dirty place, okay, where level of hygiene is very low. Most books don't speak about checkpoints, but I found this one in a new civic studies book. You see, the checkpoint is empty of people. No people in the checkpoint. So for the children who are about to join the army, to do checkpoints is not such a bad thing, you see? It's lovely. Now, this friend of Winnie the Pooh, oops, what's his name? The owl tells you that administrative detention is a very good way to defend our democracy. This, the children of Israel never see, okay? And then when everything is abstract, you can ask rational questions. What is the point of checkpoints? Disadvantaged, advantage, how is it good for democracy? Not good because you don't know there are people involved and you don't see them. Okay, you don't see that. The best way to make people abstract and to push them out is in maps, of course. Okay? What is called silencio geografico. Geographical silence, it means you just eliminate them from the map. This is a map of Arab population inside Israel. But on this map, not even one Arab city is mentioned. Not even Nazareth, not Acre, not Al-Fahim, nothing. So the impression is that these rectangles, you see, these concentrations of Arabs really live on top of us. Okay, you see that? They're encroaching us. The West Bank is colorless. And the legends say this is a zone without data, which means there are no people there, okay, because it's a population map. It's empty. Nobody's there. Another way, which is very common in Israeli school books, is what we call mental maps, right? Mental maps, like in the map of the world, in the European version of the map of the world, Europe is in the middle, right? But it's not really in the middle. So this is mental map, and of course we don't know anything else except maps today for the territory. You don't know the territory of Italy, you know the map. So this is what is said in one book. Can you read? Everyone can read? Yeah. Okay, so you'd think we'd speak about Australia, right? Some remote villages where you cannot bring water and electricity. So this is the point of mental map. Second, since they are such a problem, we must push them and put them in boundaries. This is logical, right? For example, what is the purpose of Judaizing or Jewifying the Galilee? Yes? Building Jewish settlements on top of Arab villages in the Galilee. This is what they say, the geography book. And they talk about the citizens, not the non-citizens. All right? And the books tell you in a very scientific way that all this does not contradict the democracy. You see? Okay? All right. And anyway, they are to blame because they lost the war. What Jafar talked about before, the raising or the ethnic cleansing of the Bedouin from the Negev. Here is how it is presented in school books. This is the way it is. They are not recognized by the state. How can people be not recognized? This is not discussed. All right? It's a scientific fact. So they don't get water, they don't get infrastructure, they don't get anything, and they're being eliminated. This nobody sees, of course. Number 3, since we have to shut them down, the military government is justified, right? Because they have to be confined, not to mix with us. Okay? Now, of course, la terra libera is la terra confiscata of the Palestinians, yes. How do you create distance? How do you eliminate them? Jafar spoke before about the citizenship law, yes, that says that you can read. This is the law. Right? It's an emergency law. Everything is emergency law, so of course they don't, yeah. Now, the need to eliminate them, the need of a Jewish majority, this is the most important value to keep a Jewish majority. So if they marry, they cannot come to live. If they're not recognized, we should cleanse them. And of course, it legitimates the ethnic cleansing of Palestine, as you see here. Okay, it was a good thing. But how do you convince children that these people are really so bad that they have to be eliminated? You must use racist discourse. You must treat them in a racist way. A racist way, it means to say that they're primitive, they're parasites, they're outlaws, they're vile, and they're dangerous. Okay? And they are the enemy from within, as we saw before. For example, this. Okay, they are simply bad people. This is another racist icon to show Palestinians today. It's called the Oxfam image. Yeah, Oxfam always has these images of the poor third world farmers. And this one, which I showed you before. Okay? And of course, they refuse to live in high buildings. They're very capricciosi. As you see, it looks like nobody. Nobody looks like that in the world, not only in Palestine. It's an Alibaba taking from European drawings of Alibaba from the 19th century. But this is the picture that runs throughout the book of geography. All the time. Okay? And if you know a little bit about semiotics, this is closure. You see, this space is closed, and you see the vector from the camel to the house. This is what the camel thinks about the house. All right? And the last thing, of course, is to legitimate the massacres of Palestinians. Since they are such a problem, we have to confine them, we have to distance them, we have to get rid of them. So the books legitimate the massacres. Okay? Now, as you see in this text, they don't legitimate them by the reasons. They cannot write, we went to kill them. But they are legitimated by the consequences. Okay? After Deir Yassin, so many people got the message and left, and this was a miracle. Even the president said that. Okay? So it's not we kill them because we want to kill them, of course not. But the consequences, a posteriori, legitimate it. Now, why do they die? Okay, why do they die all the time? They usually die because they don't do as they are told, like in Gaza. You remember, 2014? We told them to leave. They didn't leave. What can I do? Or by mistake, oops, sorry. All right? So here are two explanations that we get in the books. In Deir Yassin, they died because the loudspeaker didn't work, as you see. And in Kibia, in 1953, they died because the soldiers didn't know they were hiding in their homes that night. Okay? Which is not very elaborate explanation, technical. But what the books emphasize is that the death of Palestinians always bring some confidence to the Jews. And this is very important, as you see here. Here they even, yeah. Okay? It's good for the army, it's good for the people. Okay? This is a quote. Okay? In this book, they say the purpose of the massacre was to raise the morale of the people and the soldiers. And then, again, you can ask some questions from the children, like these questions. Yes? And this one. And of course, the answer is it raises the morale. To know that 50 Egyptians were killed and 40 taken prisoners is raising the morale of the Jewish population. So the lesson from, or the general message from the reports about massacres is this. After every massacre, these books are a little bit old. Today, after I finished my book, the new books don't even speak about that. In the new books, you have hardly any Arabs and hardly any Ethiopians. Okay, the Jabalia camp was replaced by a refugee camp in Darfur. It's very nice to speak about, other places. But in the books that do mention the massacres, after every report about the massacres, you have this page that makes a myth of the soldiers. Okay, you see the soldiers who are so beautiful, erect, proud, happy, and clean. Very clean after the massacre. And the chief of staff, Dayan, is coming to congratulate them. And you have a song in their honor, which Roland Barthes will tell you makes the myth. Okay, a glorifying picture and a glorifying song. This is after Deir Yassin. Again, our beautiful, erect soldiers. This is from a village near Deir Yassin, the castle. But it's the same. As you see, his arm is pointing here to the road to Jerusalem, which they liberated. And here there is a very, very known kind of hymn to the brave soldier. And the whole massacre is here, only that. Okay, so when you read this whole double spread, you come out with the impression that something big and good happened because such wonderful people could not have done an unjustified wrong. This is the point. And the text always praises the killers, as you see here. So they are really the best people there are. And they wouldn't have done this if it wasn't for the best. Okay? This is the message. Now, a very interesting thing is that in all the books, Israel is eliminating the Palestinians in order not to have another Auschwitz. This is very strong. The lesson from the Holocaust is that we should have a strong state with a strong army. And every massacre of Palestinians in Gaza, in Lebanon, in the West Bank, it doesn't matter where, saves us from another Treblinka. This is the strongest message that the children get. If we don't do that, the Holocaust is around the corner. And the perpetrator of the Holocaust will not be the Germans, whom we love a lot, and we forgave them a long time ago. It will be the Palestinians. And this, of course, corresponds to the political discourse that compared Hitler to Arafat to Hitler and this and that. All right? So the students learn to legitimize the extermination or the elimination of Palestinians as something that is necessary, okay, and useful and blessed even to the state of Israel, to the existence to the state of the state of Israel. And the Holocaust is hovering all the time above all this. Thanks.